Hi again. My name's Kaitlin Brabitz, and I am a senior AI engineer. I've been building AI solutions, so generative AI and agentic AI, for about 3 years, specifically within the energy and utilities space. So in today's world, now with AI, it's expected you now to not just keep that quality of outputs, but also bring in that speed. And so what I kind of want to bring in today is actually how to use AI to help you enhance your work. So finding tips to not just deliver fast, but actually retain the knowledge that you're building. And it is a little bit of a promo, sorry. But so what better to say than an environment that I work in currently? So we are in the energy and utility space, and we build out custom compliant and production grade AI solutions for our clients. And as you can see some of the names here, I just wanted to pull this out because when you build out something for their very sensitive, intense infrastructures, a 1% error is actually not just a bad quarter, but actually a big risk in terms of safety. And so when you have to deal with that, it seems really exciting, and you might get thrown into the deep end of tasks that you've never even done before, because now AI, you can do everything, right? And so even though it's very exciting, it's also very scary, because you can use AI, build out something, and you go, yeah, I did that, I'm an expert. But if someone asks you something a little bit further without you actually truly trying to retain that knowledge, you'll start to crumble. And so you kind of have to build that. And I feel like, just to keep a little bit of a perspective, I was before ChatGPT slightly. So I just want to kind of paint a picture, maybe a generative AI one, maybe, of a girl in late 2021 where she was in her marketing role. She's in her second one. And she's just trying to find an edge, something different. It was challenging to get into marketing in the first place. There were so many people applying for it. And so I had to do a bit of reflection and go, what do I like inside marketing? Because at the time, I didn't even know I could go as a senior AI engineer. But I had to have a think, and I knew I liked a class in my marketing analytics in university. So I was like, okay, I'll start there. And so I was doing a bit of reading and found out that there's a couple languages that are in kind of tech that I could kind of start teaching myself. And so there was R, SQL, and then there was Python, which felt like it could go across the board and not just stick with the kind of data lane if I wanted to change out of it. So here's a picture of me, 2021, 1 hour train ride home with Python books, because of course, no Wi-Fi, there's no ChatGPT, so I'm creating functions on pieces of paper and going home to my laptop and trying to recreate them. And when you have like an error or something, you don't have something to quickly give you an output of saying you have an indentation error. So you had to go on Stack Overflow, you had to find different forums to figure out what is wrong with my code. But I feel like in today's world, now that we have ChatGPT, Claude, that's not the case. Maybe for some people, they're actually trying to retain that, but most of the time, you throw it in there, you say, what fix? And then it'll give you an output, and you're like, perfect, move on. And so I kind of want to throw in this kind of what I like to call the AI paradox, where, let's say for me, I'm an AI engineer, but in reality, I'm supposed to actually know all of this information now, because AI is able to do it for me. And so I kind of want to even bring an example of me right now on a project that I'm on. And so for one of our clients, we actually have to build, before we even get to the fun AI stuff, we actually have to build a CRM from scratch. Their data was in an Excel file, so I had to create a full database. And then the decision was to use MongoDB, which I've never touched before, instead of Postgres. And so as an AI engineer, I'm used to just having the data provided for me and I get to play with it. Now I have to think about data engineering techniques and making sure that the data actually sits in the right place. And so what I had to kind of learn now in this kind of front-end developer, back-end developer, data engineer, is how to actually retain that knowledge, because this isn't going to be the first time I'm going to have to do this. And so in this kind of project that I was on, I've decided to create some kind of tips to not just stick in and just copy, paste, output, move on to the next ticket, but actually try to retain some of the things that I'm building. So here's how I stay senior, even if I feel junior. So the first thing is to step away from Claude, step away from ChatGPT. I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty of just typing, I need to create a CRM with a database. But in reality, if you actually try to create a logical step on your own of you trying to figure out yourself first before trying to just throw it in and hoping that the AI will understand what you're thinking. Because in reality, if you can't explain it, even in your own logical way, how is AI going to do it? And in parallel, as I was saying, I'm not a data engineer. I might have heard some terminology, but asking the AI, the LLM, what kind of terms do I need to know to build out a data migration when there's no Python module for it, so I have to create it from scratch? What kind of terms do I need to understand to be able to actually create out that plan to then get that output that I need? Then we have here the stress test, and the stress test goes in two ways. So in the example here, it's when you're actually building out that plan. So you give it to your messy plan and tell AI, what am I missing? What gaps are there? Or you can say, how could this fail when it scales? But then also you can stress test when you're actually developing the product in between and saying, why are you creating an async function here? So there's ways that you can iterate and stress test where it makes you start to actually have that learning retention and actually understanding what's happening instead of just accepting everything. And then lastly is around the write back. So there's two components of that. One is asking, if I was a senior data engineer, which resources, links, books should I be reading or learning about? So I can do it on the tube where I don't have access to anything, or once the deadline's done, I can still read up on it so I can still keep building those skills. And then lastly, asking what went wrong? What could I have done better? And so it's more of a conversation. So in the last talk, you hear it as it's a colleague, and I agree with that. It's not just a tool that's doing it for you. So you're actually working alongside the AI. And then, sorry, one last promo. But yeah, we're hiring. So if you want to build cool things and learn as well, it's a great place. Any questions for me?